All right, got the mortise chopped. Now it's time to cut those angles. Remember I told you, this is supposed to be 22.5. The key word is supposed to be. Now, what I did, I can't show you this and the table saw, but you'll see that just in a minute. What I did was I took me 2 pieces of poplar, and same thickness as my tiger maple, and I cut them to the same width as my tiger maple. And I'll show you in a minute. I cut me a little piece on my chop saw to 22.5, and we ran it. And I had to move a little bit. Now I'm going to explain that. The gauges on table saws, if you look at them real close, usually you got this great big needle and these great big numbers. And well, they're not super accurate. So, but we don't care if it's 22.5 or 22.5 plus a little bit or 22.5 minus a little. We don't care. Doesn't matter. But here's what does matter. When these 2 pieces come together on the point of the shelf right here, we want these to sit down flat on the case, without question. And we want this to mate. So doing a little setup and working with some scrap to make sure that that's happening is a must. That's something you have to do. The other thing we got to do is we got to make a call. Now I'm going to explain that. But before I do, I'm going to slip a piece of tape on this just so that I don't have to try to hold them together. Because this is going to be our dominant means of gluing. Now this is not where you go and buy really cheap tape. This is a fairly good quality duct tape because I want something strong. I don't want to tear it all up either, but I'm doing a good job of that. Okay. Now, the object of the game is that when we fold this together, this tape is going to pull this tight and be our clamp. That doesn't always happen. So we're going to make a call. Call spelled C-A-U-L. Kind of funny looking thing, huh? Let me explain it. Now, this call is going to serve 2 purposes. When we glue this face frame up, this fits over the edge, and we can put a clamp from this point to the outer edge and pull it. That will allow us, if we need clamps on the outside, to do that. One of the things we want is we want this call, and you notice the arm is extended. The reason for that is that when we go to gluing up the whole face frame, putting our stretchers or our cross pieces in, this is also going to allow us to put a clamp from this point to this point, holding down tight, as well as the piece we're going to be gluing in. Because of this angle, when you go to glue a corner cabinet, because of that angle, and you put pressure on it, it will try to dip. They always do. They try to roll in on themselves. But what this does is this allows us to keep our cross piece straight with our side. Or everything will stay straight. So the calls serve 2 purposes. Now, how do you make the call? This is just simply a block of wood, and here's your pattern. All you have to do is set this on here and draw it. There's your pattern. And you notice we got to keep one side straight. Okay? Now what I did was simply went to the table saw, and you can see the cut right here. And I cut this because I want this nice and straight. Then I bandsawed this. But we have an issue. Because of the shape of this, now if you use plywood, you don't have so much issue. MDF is just not strong enough, I don't think. But you can sometimes, these little corners right here will break off. Because a lot of times the grain is running vertical in them. So to cure that, I simply drill it and glue a 3/8 or 1/4 inch dowel up into it, getting past this point. Drill it up in there to give it the strength it needs. Reinforce that little ear. And you have it. Not difficult. Now, I've got my claws set up here, and I hope I don't need them. But in case I do, I've got them. Now, I've got 12 of them. I'm figuring 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom of each side. 4 sides, that's 12. Now, if I run into an issue gluing this, what I will do is glue one side and let it dry a while. Then I can remove some, or I'll simply make some extra calls. So, we're ready now to go to the table saw and get things cut and get the space frame together. Okay. Remember, this is my little, I just took a straight piece, went to the chop saw, cut it at 22.5. Then, now you could also do it using a miter slide or whatever. That's to get you started. And if everything's perfect at 22.5, that's great. You done good. I've got my 2 pieces here, and I've got them where they're lining up really well. All right, I'm on the money here, and this is fitting well. And I'm about 22. I don't know if you can see this on camera. You ain't going to see it on camera. Okay? Get it down here where I can read it. You're going to do it right. And according to this, I am 21.8. And I don't care. It fits my corner cupboard. .8 on both. So when I go over to my corner cupboard, you know, it could be any little thing that can throw it out a little bit. You're talking about, you know what, 0.7 of a degree. But it's important that when these two go together, I can't emphasize, I mean, it takes a minute. When these two go together, it fits down on that corner cupboard nice. If not, then what's going to happen is this piece right here is going to be up like this, and when you go to put the face, when you put it together, then you're trying to pull it down and you're really stressing this joint. If you're too wide on the, that's if you're too short on the bottom. If you're too long on the bottom, then when it goes together, this is going to be sitting down on it and it's not going to fit well. And make sure you're on your points. Okay, I'm set up. I have gone through, I've got all my pieces laid out exactly where I need to cut. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all of my 2 1/4 pieces. Now let's assume for a moment that for whatever reason you just blew it. And you get your pieces cut and you go over there and they don't quite fit just right. The where you want to be, and you got to change that angle a little bit. Where you want to change the angle is going to be on the wide piece. Here's why. Remember, what we did was, we've got this corner cabinet overhanging, we've got the face frame overhanging the carcass 1/2 inch on each side. If you had to cut a little bit off that and it wound up being, you know, instead of being a 1/2 inch overhang, it was a, you know, 3/8 or whatever the case may be. Your corner cabinet would be just slightly narrower, but it's not going to be a huge deal. You take it off on your small piece, then you're reducing your face frame. Now that 1/2 inch overhang gave us an out. It gave us room that if we have an issue, we can get out of trouble. All right, I'm going to cut the small ones first. And what I'm going to do, as I do everything, is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start cutting, making small. I'm going to sneak up on them. That's what I'm going to do. I want my last cut, and I want that thing to be able to go through nice and smooth so that I get a nice clean cut. I'm not going to try and hog it and do it all at one time. All right, here we go. We're going to sneak up on it. I should have paid attention because I didn't sneak on nothing. That's right on the money. All right, I'm going to go ahead and run them. That's a crooked one. All right, now to the big ones. Let me try it sneak up again thing. Glue time. All right, guys, it's glue time. I'm going to get some tape across here, get your tape on nice and tight, and pull your seam up tight. And then, in this groove, what you want to do is paint it good. I mean, don't starve the joint, but don't get it super loaded with glue, because that can try to push your joint apart. And make sure you work your glue all the way down to those little edges. Now, when you glue this up, sometimes the glue can make that little teeny fine edge, that little sharp edge on the corner. it can make that little edge where they come together, it can make it curl out. Let me get a good finger. It can, instead of being tight, that little edge, because the glue's got moisture, it will make it curl out a little bit. And you think you don't have a good seam, but you do. As soon as you sand it, you've got it. All right, let me see what I got here. Looking pretty good. Now, I'm going to pull it tight. Got it. Yeah, I might have to clean a little duct tape off where that glue is, but it'll be all right. I've glued a lot of corner cabinets. When I tried the tape thing, it was the easiest way I've ever glued one up. Just keep that line tight and keep on. Oh yeah, you're not going to do it real neat either. Now I'm just pushing on that a little bit to make sure I got that glue, all that glue out of there. This bottom don't look like it's tight enough. If it doesn't want to come real tight, go the other direction with your tape. Because in this case, I'm pulling on this one more than I'm pulling on this, and I need to go in the reverse. There it goes. All right, we got a good tight joint. Now I'm going to do one other thing. Now pipe clamp work on this just as well. And all I'm going to do is make sure that I'm perfect end to end, and the clamp will move it if I need to. But the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check and make sure I'm down good and tight. I've got a little downward pressure here. And I've got everything pulled tightly together. All right. Can you zoom in on this? See how tight that is? Hey, throw me a wet rag, please. See it? Hold in there nice and tight. I got a fair amount of glue here in the back. Of course, on me, I guess if I wanted to be polite, I could have wore gloves, but get some of this glue out of the back. And we're glued up. Now I'm going to go ahead and do all the others. Now, the caul. We talked about them just a minute ago. You really can't get it to come together, and it's not pulling together with you, with the tape. And sometimes you have to fiddle with them a little bit. What the caul does is the caul will go across it. This point should hold this wide board down. This point should be down on here. If it's not, you can take a little shim or something and put underneath there. You want to clamp across it just like this. And you see where this is setting up a little bit? That needs a shim. Because what you want to do is you want this, as it pulls, you want it pushing these two together, but you don't want it to let one push the other out of alignment. That's exactly the way it works. I got a shim here. Let me show you this. I want this down tight right here, and I want the shim against this one. Then, when I pull it together, like this, one helps pull the other together. You can actually see just a little bit of glue right there. Then this will come in and help push anything either way it needs to go. Can you see that? Now, it'd be best to have this and this in perfect alignment, but this will do. See how it pulls that tight? Now, the tape's doing the exact same thing. But if I need to and I want to be sure, I can walk down through here and just stick a couple cawls on and make sure I've got it good. And that'll pull everything nice and tight. That's only if you don't trust your taping. But I think we're okay. I'll stick one on here just again so you get to see it. Snug it in. I'll cut me a little wedge. I'll sneak me a little wedge in here. Tight. And that's the way the cawl works. Not difficult. Not a good thing to store your clamps on the floor, but if we get a little bit more on that end. You see that little bit of a gap right there? Just a little teeny, it's right at the surface. I doubt you can even see it on camera. When I put this cawl on, gone, tight. You can see. That's the cawl. Now that one I don't need a shim in it because it's tight and it's right at its point. And I've already had the clamp on to make sure everything's nice and flush up here. Clean up the glue. And let it dry. We're good. Keep on going down through them.